Let's go back even further. Africans in Britannia. There were Africans in Britain before the English came here. They were soldiers in the Roman Imperial Army that had occupied the southern part of this island for 3.5 centuries. Among the troops defending Hadrian's Wall in the 3rd century AD was a division of Moors, Numerus Mororum Aurelianorum, named after Marcus Aurelius, or a later emperor known officially by the same name. Originally raised in North Africa, this unit was stationed at Abalava, now Berg by Sands near Carlisle. Was that Abalava? Abalava. Anyway, it was listed in the Notitia Dignitatum, an official register of the Roman administrative system, and there is an inscription referring to it on a 3rd century altar found in 1934, built facing down into a cottage wall at Beaumont. Anyway, the earliest attested date for this unit, G units present here in Britain, was AD 253. An African soldier is reputed to have reached Britain by about the year 210. Of great fame among clowns and good for a laugh at any time, this Ethiopian has gone down in history as a man daring enough to mock the emperor who, in all probability, had brought him to Britain. It happened near Carlisle. Septimius Severus, the Libyan-born emperor who spent his last 3 years in what was then a remote province, had been inspecting Hadrian's Wall. He had just defeated the wild Caledonians who lived on the other side, and he was far from pleased to encounter a black soldier flourishing a garland of cypress boughs. Sacred to the underworld god Pluto, the cypress could only mean one thing to a Roman: death. Severus was troubled, not only by the ominous nature of the garland, but also by the soldier's ominous colour. "Get out of my sight," he shouted. The soldier replied sardonically, "You have been all things, you have conquered all things. Now, O conqueror, be a god." Matters were hardly improved when, wishing to make a propitiatory sacrifice, Severus was provided with victims, which also happened to be black. Abandoning the sacrifice in disgust at his further bad omen, he found that his attendants had carelessly brought these animals to the very door of the palace. It was a black day, as we say, for the emperor. We shall share some puns with the Romans and some situations. And he died not long afterwards at York. Anyway, besides African soldiers and slaves, there may well have been soldiers, prefecti, from the flourishing towns of North Africa serving in Roman Britain in the 2nd and 3rd centuries. And though no remains have yet been positively identified, there can be little doubt that Africans were buried here. Among 350 human skeletons found in an excavation at York in 1951, the greatest number are yet exhumed in any Romano-British cemetery, were several of men whose limb proportions suggest that they were black Africans. Yes, just looking at the appendices. Right, Africans in Scotland. There are traces of an African presence in the British Isles some 400 or 500 years after the Romans left. An ancient Irish chronicle, not talking about Cullen or the Rainbow Warrior, the Hound of Cullen, that's another story. An ancient Irish chronicle records that blue men were seized by Vikings in Morocco in the 9th century and carried off to Ireland, where they stayed for a long time. And, check this, the remains of a young African girl were recently found in a burial dated 1000 at North Eltham in Norfolk, about 25 miles northwest of Norwich. Now, William the Conqueror only came here in 1066, yet they found this girl buried here in the year 1000. And it goes on about blah blah, this, that and the other. The records fall silent until the 16th century, when a small group of Africans were attached to the court of King James of Scotland. These Africans were probably taken from Portuguese slavers. One of the Africans in Edinburgh was a drummer, and A choreographer.